The wind on the Ukrainian front is now blowing from a completely different and much harsher direction. By taking a significant step, Kiev has officially begun to seize the initiative on the southern lines. After months of grueling battles, while all eyes were solely on Zaporizhia until recently, the strategic focus has now suddenly shifted to Mariupol. This is not a simple change of direction, because this city beats at the very heart of the most vital arteries keeping the Russian war machine alive. Remember those dark, bloody, and epic days experienced at the Azovstal steel plant in 2022? Is it possible to forget that resistance the whole world watched with bated breath? Well, the heroes of that unparalleled resistance have returned today to settle their unfinished business. The Azov Brigade is back in those sacred lands they gave everything for and defended street by street years ago. Russia's ruthless activities in the city, targeting innocent civilians for years and turning an entire city into an open-air prison, may finally come to an end. Because this return is not merely a symbolic march of revenge or an emotional move. Azov taking the field will provide invaluable tactical support to an estimated 90,000 to 130,000 Ukrainian soldiers fighting on the southern front lines. Every logistics line collapsed in the background will save the life of a Ukrainian soldier fighting on the front. And most importantly, this massive step taken has the potential to radically change the fate of that critical connection corridor between the southern front lines and Crimea, especially Mariupol. In fact, as soon as the Azov Brigade arrived in Mariupol, they took their first step, proving this potential. When the date showed May 8, 2026, that statement fundamentally shaking the dynamics of the war was announced to the whole world through United 24 media. The 1st Azov Corps delivered that historic spine-chilling message by declaring, "We have returned to Mariupol." However, this return was not a standard infantry assault of the kind we are accustomed to in military doctrines. They did not enter the city with massive tank convoys or heavy armored vehicles. On the contrary, in line with the warfare concept of the 21st century, they chose a much deadlier, much stealthier, and unstoppable method. Azov has now begun patrolling its home from the sky. We are talking about a terrifying operational network that penetrates exactly 160 km deep into the line of contact, giving the enemy no room to breathe. This is not an ordinary distance. It is a massive strategic circle, because this depth means that all the logistics hubs, ammunition depots, and assembly areas that Russia views as a safe backyard on the southern front enter Ukraine's absolute firing range. And playing the leading role in this wide-ranging operation are the US-made Swift-Beat-manufactured Hornet kamikaze drones, developed by former Google CEO Eric Schmidt's company, Perennial Autonomy. These systems are almost like monsters equipped with artificial intelligence. Their range easily exceeds 100 kilometers and they can operate with deadly precision up to 160 kilometers. The heavy 5-kilogram warheads they carry have the power to turn armored vehicles and massive fuel tankers into hell with a single strike. However, what makes these drones truly terrifying is not the explosives they carry, but the intelligence they possess. Thanks to Starlink satellite terminals, they are completely unaffected by Russia's highly boasted electronic warfare systems and signal jammers. The AI-supported target recognition system processes a massive database in real time. They can distinguish a military logistics truck from a civilian vehicle within seconds without the need for any human intervention. The Azov Brigade has started scouring every inch of Mariupol with these powerful drones. Russian military trucks, fuel tankers carrying LNG, and personnel carriers transporting troops to the front are no longer safe on any road. The name of this next-generation tactic Azov applies in the sky is Loiter and Strike. The drones wait for hours in the sky right above the target like a silent and invisible hunter. They calculate that critical moment when Russian convoys are most vulnerable. When they reduce speed, cross a bridge, or slow down at an intersection. And when that moment arrives, they mercilessly dive from the sky. Russian air defense systems are left utterly helpless in intercepting these small hunters with low radar signatures and thermal cameras. Multi-million-dollar air defense systems like Pantsir or Tor cannot even see these AI-supported ghosts in the sky. The situation on the ground has become so dire that most Russian drivers abandon their vehicles on the road and flee for their lives the moment they realize the approaching threat. The latest frontline reports published by the Ukrainian local media reveal moment by moment the horror and panic experienced by Russian soldiers. Because Russian soldiers now know that once they hear that sound, their chances of survival are very low. The critical data shared by Andreychenko, head of the Occupation Research Center, explains the scale of the issue and the gravity of the situation very clearly. It was detected that 2 massive new military bases were built in Mariupol just in March and April of 2025. One of these is the main logistics hub established for fuel tankers and ammunition trucks. The other is a colossal assembly area where personnel and armored equipment destined directly for the front are deployed. These facilities are not makeshift, temporary tent cities. They built permanent military fortresses surrounded by reinforced concrete fences, equipped with observation towers, and protected by heavy electronic warfare systems. However, there was something they failed to account for. When Azov's Hornet drones fly in the skies of Mariupol, they penetrate right into the heart of these concrete fortresses and invisible signal shields. So, were Azov's flawless military intelligence and tactics limited only to the Mariupol operation? Absolutely not. Behind this historic return lie other massive operations woven stitch by stitch in the early months of 2026 and executed with immense patience and brilliance. Let's take a look at that incredible logistics operation Azov conducted in Donetsk in April 2026, just before arriving in Mariupol. For years, Russia viewed the city of Donetsk as its own logistics paradise, an eternally unreachable safe zone. However, Azov units descended like a nightmare on critical junctions around the Donetsk ring road, such as Zurs, Andreka, and Strobisha. In this operation, instead of classic singular drone strikes, swarm tactics known in military literature as multiple drones attacking simultaneously in coordination were utilized. Patrolling relentlessly day and night, FPV and Hornet drones ambushed massive convoys belonging to the 1st Donetsk Army Corps at the narrowest bridge crossings. According to Ukraine's field reports, Russian commanders were literally left without ammunition on the front line due to the destroyed fuel and ammunition trucks. That famous perception of a safe rear front in Donetsk was shattered to pieces amidst the sounds of explosions that lasted for days. But Azov's capabilities are not limited solely to unmanned systems in the sky. What happened in the village of Zelo-Kalatas in February 2026 proved just how capable this unit can be on the ground in hand-to-hand combat. Because this clearing operation in the direction of Dorilia lasted exactly 21 days, step by step, house by house. To protect themselves from heavy artillery fire,